Hey guys, so this is a super casual video. As you can tell, I am relaxing on my balcony area in my Adirondack chair. I can never pronounce that right. I just thought that I should just kind of update you a little bit, or maybe talk about just talk a little bit about how things have been continuing on as somebody who is trying to make a life regardless of the fact that I suffer from a mental disorder, mental disability, that I'm trying to make a life regardless of the fact that I'm someone who is non-traditionally abled. I'm otherly abled, somebody who's trying to make a life who is non-traditionally heterosexual or heteronormative, and that sort of thing. So just kind of being a little bit more casual and just talking about it and talking about my feelings in regards to some of these things and how I plan to proceed in the future. And if you hear someone yelling, there's somebody fighting down there. I'm outside, so somebody fighting down along the way. So first, I have to point out the obvious that my bipolar journey will never end. There is no cure for bipolar disorder. There is no cure for manic depression. There is no cure for bipolar depression. We don't know enough about the brain to understand what causes these things, much less to be able to find a cure for them. I take medication for them that helps me, and because I take it regularly, I am able to live a normal life, or mostly normal life, but there will never be a cure. This is an awkward position because this chair is so slouchy that I'm just like blobbed into it. Let me sit up just a little bit. So one thing that I did want to address is that when I posted my first video about my bipolar journey, I got a lot of comments from people, both publicly and privately, that were telling me how brave I was and how inspiring it was that I was coming forward and saying, like, yes, I'm bipolar. Because let's face it, thanks to the media and thanks to movies and books and television, the idea of what bipolar disorder looks like is not a very flattering one. And to me, that's the saddest part, that mood disorders and personality disorders such as bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, the borderline personality disorder is another one that get very ugly. They get very ugly reputations due to the fact that when bad things happen, people blame them on diseases like bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, because they don't know what else to say. They don't know what else to blame it on. Nobody wants to say that that person was just an evil person. They all want to say that that person had a mental disorder, so that's why they did what they did. But the fact is that it can happen. Of course it can happen, especially with undiagnosed or untreated patients. But a lot of these people are just bad people. They're bad people who do bad things and then use mental health as an excuse, which is part of the reason why it's so difficult to get funding for mental health treatment and advocacy, and just so difficult to break the stigma around non-trendy mental health disorders. When I say non-trendy, I know you know what I mean. Anxiety. Everyone has anxiety because anxiety is a trendy disorder. Nobody gives you shit if you say, I'm so sorry, I need to take a minute because of my anxiety. Even though it's usually a disease that doesn't appear on its own, it's comorbid with something more significant, such as depression or bipolar. Nobody says anything like, they're like, oh, anxiety, okay, honey, no problem, don't worry about that. So I'm having a panic attack, I have panic disorder, you know, like, although panic attacks are hard for people to understand, especially when they see somebody who's in the middle of one, nobody's gonna say, you know, oh, she's having a panic attack, let's call the police, call, you know, a welfare check. Because it's just like, okay, honey, just take your time, you know, take your time, settle down. And this is what I'm talking about when I say trendy diseases, because it's not that these are things that aren't serious, and it's not that things that people suffer that from them aren't in a legitimate, they're not things that people who suffer from them aren't legitimately having serious problems with. Anxiety can be debilitating, whether or not your comorbidity is another mental health issue or not. So I'm not discrediting people who, you know, say that I have anxiety, I have panic disorder, I'm depressed, seasonal affective disorder, you know, I'm not discrediting them. I'm just saying that in the public eye, these are diseases that are not offensive to have. They're not offensive for people to have. Whereas if I tell somebody, hey, you know, like, I have bipolar disorder with rapid cycling manic episodes, comorbid general anxiety disorder, comorbid PTSD, comorbid panic disorder, comorbid OCD. What? First of all, what does even that mean? And second of all, you're crazy. Like, then you become somebody that your parents don't want their kids to be around, you know? And that's something that really frustrates me. And that's something that I think about a lot. I'm not sure if I had said in my past video, but I'm physically unable to work a typical job. A 9-to-5 with lots of people, dealing with the public. I cannot do it. I have anxiety attacks, but I also have what I kind of like to refer to, this is not like a clinical description, but I also have these kind of bipolar rage episodes, and I know you're gonna be like, whoa, like, put her on a list, you know. But what happens is doing fine, and I'm totally okay. I'm enjoying myself. I'm out in public. I'm interacting easily with people in the public eye. And then as my anxiety starts to build up, I start to get more anxious. I start to get like more manic feelings, which for me include a lot of feeling of dissatisfaction, a lot of feeling of inaction, that I need to do something, a lot of feeling of physical uncomfortableness. I get jittery, I get sweaty, I'm not, you know, comfortable, and it kind of all just blurs together and then explodes out, and I usually end up yelling at my husband, mostly my husband, because I would try not to take this kind of baseless anger out on anybody, but I've yelled at, you know, waitresses, I've yelled at cashiers, I've gone totally off the rail, screamed and threw stuff, and just acted like a general nuisance, and of course I feel awful, and I have gone back to places to apologize for my behavior because it is unacceptable, but it's also something that is part of my diagnosis, that is part of my bipolar disorder, and as part of something that I have to learn and work every day to control. So that's pretty much the reason why I am not able to physically do work with the public. So I had applied for disability status and was, after about 6 months of paperwork and doctor's appointments and meetings, phone calls, everything, I was denied. I wasn't surprised because everyone is denied basically. And of course you have the opportunity to appeal the decision, and I decided that I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to have more people looking at me and going like, this person looks totally physically sound. This person looks like they're capable of doing a job. There's no reason for this person to not be working, because I agree. And at the time that I applied for disability, I really felt that it was my last option of having some sort of independent income. Since then, I've been looking into different options, and I have found something that may possibly work for me. I'm not going to get a lot of details, so that hopefully when the time comes that I will be able to work from home, not have the pressure of dealing with an angry public face to face, because honestly, when it comes to working from home, you have to be very strict with your time management, but you also have some leeway. So if you have an angry or upset customer and they write to you and their letter is so mean and you just want to be like, write back the most horrible thing you can think of, you don't have to. You can take, instead of telling the customer in front of your face, pardon me while I go count to 10, you can step away and you can take those breaths and you can have that time to compose yourself so that the email that you returned or whatever it may be is professional. So that, I think, is probably one of the biggest advantages from doing what I hope to be able to be doing. So anyway, that's kind of been what I've been thinking about. That's kind of where my thoughts have been. I'm not wearing any makeup. This is so casual. Let me know if you like it like this, because I totally would record more videos like this if you did, especially when they're just like story time chit chat sort of videos like this. So anyway, I'm Shella Arias, and I hope to see you again. Have a good day.